Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Any other questions on the phone line for Coach? Okay, back in the room.
Mike, what did you think of the pass coverage Saturday?
For Stanford.
Yours.
Oh,
Your
ours?
pass coverage.
I thought we were pretty good. I thought we were in, I thought we were in position a lot. We busted. I mean, we had a couple busts that I thought were, fairly large. I thought that, the last game we played extremely hard. And I would say our coverage was somewhat similar to the rest of our team. I thought we played really hard. I thought we were definitely sloppy at times, but we played, very gritty and tough as a team. I thought we were sloppier though than we were against Oregon, and we just need to, be precise at just doing our job. Just stick with doing our job, and there's always that temptation to try to anticipate or make judgments on how a play's going to unfold, and we have to resist that temptation. I don't think we always did, but I think whenever we did, we did extremely hard without hesitation, and so I think that's pretty accurate. The other thing is they're a tough group to cover because they're so large, and they keep running that little play, throwing it low, and then going in the fetal position over the ball and happily, notch up their 5 yards or whatever, and so something positive was happening to them on first down all the time, and which is pretty effective if you got everybody that big. If you got one guy that big, then you can gang up on him a little bit. But they, they have, they're just big, huge receivers. So
Looked like Marcus Strong showed some resilience.
yeah, they hung in there. I mean, it's and then there were just without getting myself in trouble, I thought that some of the plays we had better technique than showed.
Coach, is there any extra motivation going into this Cal game after last year's disappointment in Berkeley?
Not really. It's the next one. We got to lock into the next one. I mean, because not a lot that happened last year really transfers to this year. We just got to focus on the right now. This game. So.
Are they relatively similar on defense?
Yeah, they're exactly the same. Yeah.
One of Cal's biggest standout players on defense is Evan Weaver. He's a guy from Spokane. Did you guys actively try to recruit him?
Yeah, we did. He told us no. So, yeah, but they're good on defense. They bounce around on defense. They play hard. They're physical. That's the biggest thing, and then they real sound, and of course, that's they do a lot of good things, and I think pretty balanced on all of it too.
Anything else for Coach?
Did you happen to see Mike Gundy's comments after the game about Twitter and?
Oh yeah, outstanding. Yeah. Mike's a friend of mine too. Outstanding, and I know his father Ray Gundy too, who's one of my all-time favorite guys, who I actually text back and forth with. No, it was pretty good. It was very Oklahoma State, very Mike Gundy, so it was pretty good.
Do you kind of share similar sentiments about Twitter and?
I think it sounds like it. I'd never really gotten his view on the subject, but yeah, it sounds like we're pretty congruent on that, Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, go ahead.
Keep going. I didn't know if you were going to keep going or not. After the game, when Jill Savage was interviewing you, she asked you what you thought Gardner did to help lead the team towards victory, and all you said was, I think he's the best quarterback in the country, and it kind of was an awkward moment because she expected you to kind of keep going, but that's all you said. Did you just want to say that to just have that statement out?
Well, I mean, as far as, directing a unit and elevating a team, I mean, that's a quarterback's ultimate job, and then, now I'm getting all these questions, how's he stack? Well, I think he does a good job, and then I think, as far as, production performance, I think he's the best one, and I guess folks are kind of dancing around that a little bit, but, no, it doesn't really affect anything that we do. I mean, I think he needs to improve, and he needs to improve as fast as he can, but, all these comparisons and stuff, he's got the best numbers, so he's the best one.
What do you mean by folks are dancing around it a little bit?
Well, everybody compares players at the various positions and stuff like that, and then, talks about who's this and who's done what, and then, of course, some of the glamour positions like quarterback, quarterbacks don't get underbilled. They'll overbill them like crazy, Oh, this is the greatest quarterback, try to say where the guy's gonna get drafted and all this other stuff, and then, so they'll overbill it, and then of course, such and such a team's really not good at this position or that position. Where they might be pretty good, but then all of a sudden there's a school or somebody in a bigger media base, so they're gonna brag about theirs more because they have more voices, And then, which that doesn't really, make what is, but, he's got the best numbers, so he's the best one. And not only that, but, does a good job directing our team, so.
Even with all the national talk about him, do you still think he's getting a bit underbilled right now then?
I don't know, like I say, I don't really look at it closely enough to say. I'm getting articles shoved in front of me at a higher rate than I have for a while, which I'll look at the headline or something, but, I think that, I don't know, and plus who cares, he's just gotta improve, When I walked, past, he was in the weight room, doing the stretches and stuff, and that's a good place for him, that's where he needs to be,
What do you think he needs to improve on?
Really just, and my quarterbacks for the most part have been like this, not all of them, but for the most part have been like this, and that's what you try to get. You try to get this type, a type that doesn't have one just huge glaring weakness. One that, just, you want him to improve relatively in every area, but I don't, I haven't had too many just huge glaring weakness guys, and so, just overall improvement. Could he be more accurate? Yes. Could he get his eyes put in the right place better? Yes. Could he be quicker with his feet? Yes. Could he have better pocket presence? Yes. Could he check different plays at times? Yes. Just better at the whole thing, really. And then, not that he's not bad now, but just get better at the whole overall effort, the day after the Super Bowl, you read about this stuff, Joe Montana and those guys are out there, working on improving, and, so, and, Jerry Rice, cause I watch all these stories on this stuff, he's the best that ever played, and he's afraid he's gonna get cut every year. So, there's that whole, trying to improve, just constantly trying to improve.
Did you like seeing him go airborne on that 4-yard pickup on Saturday?
No, not really. Not really. Thought he should have got his pads low. Thought he should have got his pads low and just try to run through it. Probably would have made it too. I think he probably would. He's thinking of throwing, then he got closer and closer to that sideline. There was a time where if he took off right between them and just leaned forward, I think he'd be better off. I think the slide rule's all screwed up. That's kind of a dumb rule in a way, because they spot it where you begin your slide. So categorically, you lose 3 or 4 yards if you do it. So right off the top, it's -4 yards. So your choice is okay, I can go up here in harm's way to try to mitigate as much of that losing 3 or 4 yards as possible, or I can go down here and lose 3 or 4 yards. And then plus they usually hit you anyway. So I think you're better off just getting a little with your shoulders forward, not just because of the loss of yards, but I think you're better protected, you know.
Let's go back to the phone line one last time. Any questions for Coach? Okay, back in the room.
Did you see any of the pictures floating around with the Heisman Trophy with the mustache on it or anything
No,
like that?
no, I didn't
Okay.
see that, yeah. No, I got a really cool George Costanza poster, so that's, yeah, so I got that in my office, so yeah, that's, yeah, besides really, that's the only picture that counts anyway.
How did you hear about that? Did you see
They
it
brought
on
it
the
to the
show?
office, the guys that made it brought it to the office, they say, hey, you bring it to the office, and then they had some mini pictures, they had me sign them, so, yeah, that's how that thing happened.
Is that the best thing in your office now?
That's, I get certainly up there, let me see, what do I got in my office? I got the skeleton from Bobby Knight and Pat Knight, I've got, you know, well, I got a really cool Geronimo picture, a copy of a photograph from way back in the 1890s where him and the Chiefs are being shipped to Florida, you know, after they surrendered. I got the Sun Bowl trophies in there. I got a really cool pirate ship that somebody sent me, this kind of model wooden pirate ship. I don't, you know, it's on the list.
Anything else for Coach? Femi, go ahead.
All right, fan question of the week is the people want to know what is your favorite Halloween costume that you dressed up as growing up?
Growing up, my favorite one. Kind of depends what you're after. I had this one where I had a Grim Reaper one, and that one was outstanding. And back then, it was like, you didn't have the Halloween store, which incidentally, that wasn't in town this year, right? Was that the Halloween store here in town? I didn't see it, they had it the year before. So where you can get some cool skeletons or whatever. Yeah, there's all kinds of cool skeletons. The ironic thing is there's stripper costumes in there. I didn't even know you needed a costume first to be a stripper, and then yet they have them hanging on right there on the racks, you know. But anyway, back then they'd make them out of sheets. You know, they'd have sheets and everything. So I was a Grim Reaper, had a very cool Grim Reaper mask. And, but the trouble is, you know, when it comes to trick-or-treating, costumes are a byproduct of, you know, have to help you trick-or-treat. You know, they have to help enable the trick-or-treat effort. And as cool as that costume looked, and it was outstanding, so I had this whole skeleton face mask, this really cool hood, and even had this this thing that looked kind of like it didn't look like a sickle, but I was hoping it would. And well, and then and I was probably in second grade maybe. And son of a gun, my face got all sweaty behind the mask, and I couldn't move, and so it wasn't a good trick-or-treating outfit, as cool as it looked. The best one probably was this vampire one. My mom got dye, you know, the dye dyed the sheets black, and made this vampire outfit, so I was a vampire. And but they made this really cool cape out of the sheet, a really cool cape out of the sheet with this kind of bat effect to it, and so I could move around, you know, could cover a lot of ground, could get a lot of houses, get a lot of candy, had a really cool costume compared to other ones that just had a mask. And then, so that was a good one. And then of course that cape came in pretty handy if you needed to, all of a sudden, you know, let's play Batman. If that broke out in the neighborhood, hey, I had a cape all ready to go. And, or if all of a sudden, you know, Dark Shadows was a big show back then, which had, you know, Barnabas Collins the vampire. I'll need Barnabas Collins, hey, I got the cape, you know, I mean, I was all set to go. And then so you could kind of multitask that cape, and that cape's stuck around for a long time. I wonder if I still have it. Just a little old cape made out of a sheet, but the, and then, yeah, so my mom was pretty clever about putting that together. And then, well, then after that, as you get older, then mobility and effort diminishes, and so then everybody's a bum. So about the time you hit, you know, 6th grade or 7th grade, everybody's a bum. What are you gonna be for Halloween? Oh, I'm just gonna be a bum. Oh, I'm gonna be a bum, you know. You can get some charcoal on your face, put on your most ripped up jeans, maybe put on a pair of hiking boots, a beat up hat, and just go. But then it's just straight candy hoarding then. Then it's just straight going to houses as fast as you can. You know, kid comes up, okay, go ahead and take what you want. So you get a big old scoop out, you know, and just take advantage of the whole situation. Well, that that is a different focus there. But what's the date today anyway? 29, so it's right around the corner. Well, all right, happy Halloween to everybody.
You have any tips for kids trick-or-treating or anything like that?
Mobility, make sure you have mobility with your costume. Make sure you can get around. Make sure it's warm enough so that you can get as much candy as possible. And then as soon as you get it, immediately hide it. Because your brothers and sisters will try to steal it, especially the older ones. I was the oldest, I know. And then the other thing is you know, make sure the good stuff is out of the regular stuff, because if they find your stash, you don't want them to find the good stuff. Like the full big Tootsie Roll, or like the candy bars, you know, the full candy bar, not those little bitty 2-inch ones. You know, that type of thing, so. Oh, and then how about the dentist? We had a dentist who'd give you a toothbrush. That's what you got, a toothbrush with, hey, by the way, here's my dentist's office, come there. Yeah.
You ever try to take any of your kids' candy when they were growing up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's why you gotta get the good stuff out of there. Hey, where's your candy? Where's your candy? Well, eventually you have to give up the candy. But you don't want like this, you know, the whole roll of sprees sitting in there if all of a sudden Dad's digging around looking at your candy, you know, because that all of a sudden that's vulnerable, you know. Or like the gummy bears, you don't want those in there. You know, the good stuff, you gotta have it stashed.
Did your kids ever figure out you were dipping into the pile?
Yeah, let's see. Well, some flat out didn't care. You know, I had a few kids that didn't totally care about the candy. That and the fact that we're, depending where we lived, sometimes we weren't getting trick-or-treated on that much, so they'd end up with that whole stash we had ready, you know. But when I was growing up, we were in one of those very kid-central neighborhoods, so there's people coming and going all the time, and so, you know, you'd run out of candy type of deal. And then if you ran out of candy, you'd pretend you're not home. And then, then, you know, some would care, some wouldn't. You know, my son would squawk. He wasn't quite as generous as the girl. My oldest daughter and my son, nothing doing. You know, they acted like you never did anything for them when it came to getting a piece of candy out of them.
Coach, if any kid wanted to be Mike Leach for Halloween, what would they need to know?
There was a girl that was at Stanford. Yeah, no, this is funny. This is funny. So my wife was with Pat Chung. So there's this girl dressed like me at Stanford, a Coug fan. Who was dressed like me at Stanford. So then, you know, Pat says, "Can I get your picture with this lady?" So Sharon, my wife, gets a picture with the lady that's dressed up like Mike Leach. To this day, I don't think that lady even knows that was Sharon, that was actually my wife. So it's actually my wife that, you know, and then, I don't know what they'd have to know, you know, where you'd see a lot of that. We always used to play Kansas State about the time that, about Halloween, right before Halloween. And all those frats and whatnot, they'd be out there. There'd be a couple Bill Snyder guys that dressed like Bill Snyder. And some would do a really impressive job. And the one thing that he did that a lot of the other coaches, me especially, but were very jealous of is somehow, and he'd been at Nike school for a long time, but somehow Bill had Nike Cortezes. I mean, like, you know, in the 70s there were Nike Cortezes, which are one of the greatest tennis shoes that ever existed. And somehow, some way, and you can, if you really search for them, you can occasionally get them now, but there was a period, there was a dark couple decades where you couldn't get any Nike Cortezes, period. And somehow Bill always had purple Nike Cortezes. I mean, the white shoe with the purple stripe out there, Nike Cortezes. And I don't know where he got them. I mean, I assume he called up Phil Knight and said, here, make me a deal or whatever. And then probably had a whole box of them, like Schroeder on Charlie Brown has a whole stack of pianos in there. I'll bet Bill's got a whole closet full of Nike Cortezes. And then, and I'd ask him out there on the field. He never would tell me where exactly he got them or how he got them. But and I was extremely jealous. Other coaches were too. And so the one that I thought was the best Bill Snyder costume had even had the Nike, you know, had their tennis shoes sorted out like Nike Cortezes with the purple stripe, had the markings on the back, you know, Nike Cortez. So I thought that was pretty observant. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what they come up with. There's a kid that did me a while back. I got a picture somewhere. So, yeah, so good luck to him. I don't know the best way to do it, you know. You guys have to sort that.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Dan.